Have you ever gotten a phone call that made your blood turn to ice? Not just any wrong number or prank call, but something that made you question reality itself. This happened to me last month, and I haven't slept right since. Before I tell you what happened, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You'll want to hear more stories like this one. Trust me, what I'm about to share isn't just scary. It's true. It started on a normal Thursday night. Nothing special about it. I was home alone, scrolling through videos just like this one. My roommate was out of town visiting family, so the apartment was quieter than usual. Around midnight, I decided to head to bed. I plugged in my phone, set my alarm, and was about to turn off the lamp when my phone rang. The caller ID showed unknown number. Now, I don't usually answer calls from numbers I don't know, especially late at night. But something felt different about this one. My finger hovered over the decline button, but I couldn't press it. It was like some invisible force was pushing me to answer. So I did. At first, there was nothing, just silence. I almost hung up, thinking it was a butt dial or a telemarketer whose system failed. Then I heard breathing. Soft and steady. Not creepy or heavy like in movies, just normal breathing. Like someone was there waiting. I asked who it was. Then a voice spoke. It was hard to tell if it belonged to a man or woman. It sounded almost computerized, but not quite. The voice asked if I was me, using my full name. I felt a chill run down my spine. Something about hearing my name from this stranger made my stomach drop. When I asked who wanted to know, the voice simply told me they needed to warn me. They told me not to go into the kitchen tonight. I laughed nervously. I thought it must be a joke, but the voice was deadly serious. They insisted it didn't matter who they were. What mattered was that I stay out of the kitchen until morning. They made me promise. Before I could ask anything else, they hung up. I sat there holding my phone, heart racing. Part of me wanted to laugh it off as a stupid prank, but another part, a deeper, more primitive part, was scared. I wondered if I should call the police, but what would I say? Someone told me not to go unknown number. I whispered that someone was in my kitchen as soon as I answered. The voice corrected me. Not someone, something. They told me to stay where I was. Whatever it was would be gone by morning. I begged to know what was happening. The voice simply said I wouldn't believe them if they told me. They explained that they'd been in my position before. They'd received the same call once. Now they were passing it on. When I asked what they were passing on, they said it was the warning. Someone had warned them, now they were warning me. And someday I'd warn someone else. None of this made any sense to me. They just told me to stay in my room until sunrise, no matter what I heard. No matter who called me, no one except them. They promised to check on me soon. The sounds from the kitchen got louder, cabinets opening and closing, the refrigerator door, the sink running. It was as if someone was making a meal, but there were other sounds too. Sounds I couldn't explain. A strange chittering noise, something heavy moving across the ceiling, scratching on the walls. At 2:30 a.m., my phone rang again. But this time, it wasn't the unknown number. It was my roommate. I stared at the screen in confusion. My roommate was supposed to be 2 states away at his parents' house. Why would he be calling so late? I answered cautiously. It was my roommate's voice. He sounded completely normal. He apologized for calling so late and said he'd decided to come back early. He claimed to be outside the apartment, but had forgotten his keys. He wanted me to let him in. I froze. Something didn't feel right. When I asked if he was really outside right now, he said yes. He was in the parking lot. He complained that it was freezing out there. I crept to my window and peered through the blinds at the parking lot below. It was empty. No cars, no people. When I told him I couldn't see him, there was a pause. Then my roommate's voice changed slightly. He insisted he was at the front door and begged me to come open it. It would only take a second, he said. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. Do not leave your room. That's not your roommate. I told the voice, claiming to be my roommate, that I couldn't come right now and that I'd call him back. I hung up, and immediately my phone rang again. The unknown number. The now familiar voice confirmed what I suspected. That wasn't my roommate. They explained that whatever it was trying to trick me into leaving my room. My real roommate was fine. They had checked. I demanded to know how they had checked and who they really were. They simply said they were someone who had been through this before. Someone who was saved by a stranger's call, just like me. Around 3:30 a.m., things escalated. The sounds from the kitchen stopped suddenly. Then came footsteps in the hallway, heavy footsteps that didn't sound human. They stopped right outside my bedroom door. Then I heard my mother's voice calling from the other side. She was asking if I was awake, saying she needed to talk to me. My blood ran cold. My mother lived hundreds of miles away. There was no way she was at my door. I whispered for whatever it was to go away. The thing outside continued using my mother's voice, begging me to open the door. But something was wrong with the voice. It sounded like my mother, but with something else underneath. Something trying very hard to sound human and not quite getting it right. I called out that I knew it wasn't my mother. The thing outside paused. Then my mother's voice distorted, dropping several octaves, still demanding I open the door. I refused. Another pause. Then the doorknob began to rattle. Gently at first, then more violently. I backed away from the door, pressing myself against the headboard of my bed. The rattling stopped. Then came scratching. Long, slow scratches down the wood. My phone rang. The unknown number. The voice said the thing was getting desperate. They sounded pleased, saying that was good. It meant it was almost time for it to leave. When I asked what time meant, they explained it could only stay until sunrise. That was the rule, apparently. I begged to know what it was. The voice sighed and explained there are things in this world that don't belong here. Things that find cracks and slip through. They need to feed, not on food, but on fear, on life. They take forms that will lure us, trick us. They learn from our minds. When I asked why me, why my apartment, they simply said it was the wrong place at the wrong time. These things happen, but I was safe as long as I stayed in my room. The scratching at my door turned into pounding. The wood began to splinter. I pressed myself into the corner of my room, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The thing outside cycled through voices. My friends, family, even celebrities I liked. Each one begging me to open the door. Each one sounding almost right, but with something terribly wrong underneath. The unknown number called again. They told me to look out my window. The sky was getting lighter in the east. I glanced toward my window. A faint grayish light was indeed appearing. Dawn was coming. The thing outside my door sensed it too. The pounding became frantic. The door cracked down the middle. Through the crack, I caught a glimpse of what was in my hallway. I only saw it for a second, but that was enough. It wasn't human. It wasn't anything that had ever been human. Just a mass of shifting shadows and too many limbs, with what looked like dozens of eyes reflecting the dim light. I screamed and backed further away. The voice on the phone calmly said it was almost over. They started counting down from 10, telling me it was just seconds until the sun broke the horizon. The thing pushed a long, dark appendage through the crack in the door. As the countdown continued, the appendage stretched toward me like smoke-given form. It was inches from my face. I could feel its cold emanating like an open freezer. Finally, the first ray of sunlight hit my window as the count reached 1. The thing pulled back suddenly with what sounded like a hiss of pain. The appendage withdrew from the crack. There was a sound like rushing wind and then silence. The voice confirmed it was gone. I was safe now. When the sun fully rose, I finally unlocked my door and stepped into the hallway. The door was damaged, a long crack down the middle, but otherwise my apartment looked normal. The kitchen showed no signs of disturbance. If it weren't for the cracked door, I might have convinced myself it was all a nightmare. My phone rang one last time. Unknown number. I asked why they had helped me. They explained that someone had helped them once. That's how it works. Now it was my turn. I didn't understand what they meant by my turn. They explained that 1 month from now, I'd know when it's time. I'd get a feeling, a certainty. I'd know someone's in danger just like I was, and I'd call them and warn them to stay out of a certain room until morning. When I asked what would happen if I didn't make the call, there was a long pause. They simply said that then it finds them, and it feeds, and the cycle breaks. And I don't want the cycle to break. The line went dead for the final time. When I tried to call back, the number was disconnected. That was 3 weeks ago. In 7 days, according to the stranger, I'll need to warn someone else. Save someone else from what nearly got me. I don't know how I'll know who to call, but I can feel something building inside me, a kind of knowledge slowly taking shape. I've repaired my bedroom door, but I still lock it every night. I still check my kitchen before dark. And every time my phone rings from an unknown number, my heart stops for just a moment. Because some calls you can ignore, but others are meant for you specifically. And those are the most terrifying of all. If you enjoyed this true story, hit like and subscribe for more real-life horror experiences. Leave a comment about any strange calls you've received. Maybe I'll recognize the pattern. Maybe you'll be the person I need to warn next.